Hey Algebra 1s, let's do homework number 9 together and put all these exponent properties to good use. I started with same base subtract, so 3/8 in the numerator, 1/8 in the denominator, and then that's going to give us 2/8 as a value. We'll zoom in a little bit for you. Okay, look at this. 9 of these, because they're identical, they're going to completely cancel out, and I'm going to end up with 1. If I did the property rule, I have same base subtract, which is going to give me -3 to the 0 power, and anything to the 0 power is 1. So we'll go ahead and box our final answers. All right, same base add. So I have 5/8 in the numerator. I have 5/8 in the denominator, and these are going to completely cancel out, and that gives me 1. If you want to see how the math works, that's 8 to the 5th minus 5. Same thing, 8 to the 0, and anything to the 0 power is equal to 1. All right, let's look at number 4. 3/4 squared, so that's like having 3/4 times 3/4, so we'll go ahead and call that 9/16. If you want to do the power rule, this power is shared to both parts, so that's 3 squared over 4 squared, and that's how I get 9/16. There's more than one way to do so many of these. When in doubt, you can always write it out. So this is telling me 2/3 is a factor 3 times. So check out that negative. A negative times a negative is a positive, times another negative, so I know my answer is going to be a negative value. So 2 times 2 times 2 is 8. 3 times 3 times 3 is 27. If I wanted to follow the exponent rules, I can go ahead and say that this 3 as an exponent goes to both my numerator and my denominator. Check out this negative. If I want to put it with the 2 or the 3, it doesn't matter because the whole value of the fraction is negative. All right, so we'll follow the rules here. 9 to the negative first and 6 to the negative first. That means that each of these are in the wrong spot. I want to divide by 9, and I'm already dividing by 6, but I don't want that, so they come to the numerator. By the way, I see a fraction that can be simplified, so you always do. So positive 2/3. Remember, the exponent's negative, not the value. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and simplify this. 4x is up top, 5x is down bottom. That's going to mean 1x is left over after 4 minus 5 is x to the -1. And then, of course, that moves it down to my denominator. So I'm put this over 1. So then I have 3 x's up top and 2 x's on the bottom. So that's going to go ahead and just give me x as a value. This -1 is going to go to both. So I have 7 to the -1st, x to the -3rd, which means that I'm going to be dividing by x 7 times, multiplying by x 3 times. When I simplify it one step further, 3 minus 7 is -4, so those 4 x's come down to the denominator. I have 3 x's up top, 7, so these 3 are going to cancel out with 3 of those, leaving 4. Okay, let's talk about these a's. Now, if you want to simplify first, that's fine. These 2 a's will cancel out with 2 of those, leaving me with 1 a, which will leave me with 9 a's. So now all of a sudden things get a little trickier. So this 3 goes to everything. I can simplify inside of this expression first. So I can rewrite what's inside of here and make my work a little easier, because I know that 2 goes into -6, -3 times. I know that this 1x can cancel out with one of those. And I know this 1y can cancel out with one of those. So this is easier for me to work with. So my -3 gets the third power. My x gets the third power because this 3 is shared to each of those values. So y becomes 6 because it's a power of a power. Very powerful, so I'm multiplying. When I go to simplify this value, -27 x to the third y to the 6th is my final answer. All right, let's check out the top here. When I go ahead and I multiply, check out this negative. We want to make sure that we're careful of that. And when we multiply fractions, multiplying fractions is no problem, top times top, bottom times bottom. I'm allowed to write this as all these factors together. So if I have 16 and it's going to be multiplied, I'm going to keep track of that negative and put it with that 2. Then I can combine my x's. I have 3 x's here, 1 here. That makes 4 x's as factors and 2 y's. This -4 is a coefficient that's out front, and this is a -1. So I'm going to make sure that I include that. So when I go to clean up and look at my coefficients, they're all grouped together. I have my 1x here. I have my 3 y's. Now this little guy here means that he needs to go up top. Now somebody might have seen this +1, this -1, and that would have canceled out. If you saw that, good for you. That's awesome, because the same thing is going to happen here when I can cancel those x's out there. All right, let's look at simplifying this. I have a negative times a negative, which is a positive, divided by a negative, so overall my value is going to be negative. I have 1, 2, 3 negatives, so that's how that's going to work. This 4 goes into this 16 4 times, and 4 times 2 is 8, so I end up with an 8 as my coefficient, making sure that I include all of these. If I want to double check myself, I can. 16 times 2 is 32. 32 divided by 4 is 8, so that works out. I have these 4 x's. You don't have any more to cancel out, and these 2 y's are going to cancel out with 2 of those, leaving me with 1 y in the denominator. All right, let's check out this one. I can go ahead and simplify. So I have 36 here. These x's, one of them is going to cancel out. In these y's, one of them is going to cancel out. So I can just leave a 1 there to hold that place. This -1 is going to go to every single one of these factors. So this 6 goes to the bottom. This x and these y squares come up to the top. So now when it's time for me to simplify my fraction, 6 into 36 goes 6 times. 1x or 1x here, 7 there, that makes 8 x's, that's same base add. And for my y's, I have 1 here and 2 there, so that's going to give me y to the third. Check it out, because I had my 6 cancel out, there's really no need for me to have anything in the numerator, so I can just say, there's my answer. All right, let's do 14. When I look here, oh boy, we've got a lot of simplifying to do with lots of negatives. So sometimes it's just easier for me to do kind of like a big sort. I'm just going to put everybody where they belong, and then I'll worry about grouping. This 6 stays, and these 2 a's drop. This b squared stays. He stays, he drops, he stays. This guy stays, but these 3 b's come up. So I've just dealt with this whole fraction, eliminated my negative exponents and put everybody where they belong. My next step is going to be to group them for sure. Now we'll go ahead and deal with this fraction. Every single thing here is going to get an exponent of negative 2. So this 4 squared is going to drop. 4 a's are going to drop. And 2 b's are going to drop. The reason is because it winds up with 4 to the negative 2, a to the negative 4, and b to the negative 2. That's how these 2 4's ended up in my denominator. These 4 a's came down and these 2 b's came down. If you need to take an extra step to write it, please do. Don't forget about these. So here's my a and my b squareds. Now it's definitely time to simplify. So I move my coefficients out to the front. So my 6 is there and my 16 is there. I'll be able to simplify them in my next step. I've got 5 b's in my numerator, and in my denominator I have 2, 3, plus 4 is 7, plus 1 more. I've got 8 a's. I'll check that again. 2 here, plus 1 more a is 3. 3 plus 4 is 7, plus 1 more is 8. I got all my a's. Now it's time to get my b's. Down here I have 2 and then 2 more. So I have b to the 4th in my denominator. All right, one more step. When we go to simplify, I can take a 2 out of each of these. So when I divide 6 by 2, I get 3. 16 by 2, I get 8. So the 3 and that 8 are my coefficients. I only have 8 a's in the denominator. And here these 4 b's are going to cancel out with 4 of those. Same base subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. So I have 1 b left. 3b over 8a to the 8th. All right, let's talk about 15. Wow. So we got some cleaning up to do in here first before I even look at that exponent. And again, you can do this in any order that makes sense to you as long as you're following the rules. So for me, I have this x here, and this x is going to come up. So this is an x, and he's got 1 more. Here's my 2, my 3, my x, my x. Let's talk about these y's. These 2 y's go down. These 4 y's stay up. And this 1 y stays. That's all going to be to the negative 2nd power. Let's do my second fraction. I've got my 4 and my x and my y. Nothing going on there. This 2 stays. This x comes up. And so do these 3 y's. Let me give myself a little bit more room here. These 3 y's come up. Okay, so let's go ahead and cancel some stuff out. So for this fraction, my coefficients stay. I've got these 2 x's, they stay. Now when I look at my y's, these 3 y's are going to cancel out with 3 of those, leaving me with just 1 y. Let's see what's going on here. I can definitely cancel out this and leave myself with a 2. And it looks like I have 2 x's. And then 1 plus 3 is 4 y's. And that's all going to be squared. And I can put a 1 here to hold my place in my denominator. All right, now it's time. Now that I've simplified and cleaned up, I can go ahead and share this out. And basically what happens is everything that was in the numerator goes to the denominator as a squared value. So this negative 2 goes to this 2. Here it is. This negative 2 goes to this x squared. Here they are. This negative 2 goes to this y. Here it is. This negative 2 goes to this 3. And there he is. And now we're going to have my second part of my fraction. So this 2 goes to this 2. There it is. This 2 goes to these x's. There they are. And this 2 is going to go to these y's. There they are. And that 1 will hold the spot. So multiplying fractions is no problem. Top times top, bottom times bottom. So we can go ahead and just look at this all as one whole fraction now. Anything that's a repeat in the numerator and denominator can be canceled out. So these 2 squareds and those 2 squareds make 1. These 4x's and these 4x's make 1. 2 of these y's are going to cancel out with 2 of these, giving me 6 up top. So after all of that work, 3 times 3 is 9. And all I have left are 6 y's. Nothing left in my denominator. So notice we just take it step by step by step by step in order to simplify and keep track of all of my values. All right, which of the following is equivalent? All right, here we go. Same base, subtract. 4 minus 6 is going to be negative 2. Those negative 2a's are going to be in my denominator. 11 minus 9 is positive 2, so those 2 b's are going to stay where they belong. So b squared over a squared, choice C is the better one. All right, which expression is equivalent? So I know right away 36 divided by negative 18 is going to be negative 2. So I know right away B and C cannot be options. I have 5 m's up top, 7 m's down bottom, so 2 m's are going to be left in the bottom, and my n's completely cancel out. So negative 2 over m squared, my choice is D. All right, keep up the good work. Keep doing your homework.